The rain on 7 was not like Earth rain. It was thick and gray, and it smelled like metal and old machines. Walked through it with his head down, his boots sinking into the mud with every step. He did not have an umbrella. He did not have money for an umbrella. He barely had money for food. The salvage yard sat at the edge of the settlement, surrounded by a fence made of broken ship parts. Mountains of scrap metal rose up behind it like the bones of dead giants. Somewhere in that mess of rust and forgotten technology, hoped to find a ship. Any ship. Something that could fly and keep him alive for a few more months. He was 34 years old. Once he had been someone important, captain of the Earth Defense Fleet, a war hero, the youngest pilot to ever earn the Silver Wing Medal. News channels had shown his face. Children had worn shirts with his name on them. That was 5 years ago. Now nobody wanted to say his name. Now he was just the traitor who let his own soldiers die. Pushed open the gate and stepped into the salvage yard. An old woman sat behind a table near the entrance. She had white hair tied back in a bun and a face full of deep wrinkles. Her eyes were sharp and clever, like a bird watching for danger. "You look like trouble," she said. "I am looking for a ship," replied. "Something cheap." The old woman laughed. It was not a kind laugh. "Cheap. Everything here is cheap. The question is whether you want something that can actually fly." "I have 4,000 credits." The woman stopped laughing. She looked at him with something like pity. 4,000, that is not much." "It is everything I have." The old woman stood up slowly. Her name was Bora, though most people called her grandmother Bora. She had left Earth 40 years ago before was even born. She had seen empires rise and fall. She had survived wars and plagues and the collapse of 3 different governments. Nothing surprised her anymore. "Follow me," she said. They walked through the salvage yard together. Bora pointed at different ships as they passed. A cargo hauler with no engine. A passenger shuttle with a hole in the hull. A mining vessel that had been burned black by some unknown fire. "All of these cost more than 4,000, she said. "But there is one ship I can sell you for that price. Maybe less." She led him to the far corner of the yard, where the oldest and most forgotten things were kept. There, sitting in the shadow of a broken communications tower, was a ship unlike any had ever seen. It was about 50 meters long, shaped like a curved blade. The hull was dark blue, almost black, and covered with strange patterns that might have been writing or might have been decoration. Some panels were missing. Wires hung from the underside like dead vines. One of the wings had a large crack running through it. But even broken and forgotten, the ship was beautiful. There was something about its design that spoke of elegance and purpose. This was not a cargo ship or a mining vessel. This was something built with care and love. "What is it?" asked. "Nobody knows," Grandmother Bora said. "Some kind of alien design. Very old. It has been sitting here for 11 years. I have sold it 3 times. Every buyer brought it back within a week." "Why?" Grandmother Bora looked at the ship with an expression could not read. "They said it was difficult. Broken systems. Strange noises. One man said the doors kept locking him in rooms for no reason. Another said the lights would turn on and off at random times." She paused. "The last buyer said the ship was haunted. He was very afraid when he returned it." Studied the vessel. Haunted ships were not real. Broken computers could cause strange behavior. That was all. "Does it fly?" he asked. "It did once. The engine still works, I think. Most of the basic systems are functional, but there is something wrong with it, something I cannot explain." Walked closer to the ship. He put his hand on the hull. The metal was cold but smooth, almost like touching glass. He thought about his life. He had no home, no family, no friends. The Earth government had taken everything from him. Other humans saw him as a coward and a traitor. Aliens saw him as just another violent human who could not be trusted. He had nothing left to lose. "I will take it," he said. Grandmother Bora raised her eyebrows. "You do not want to think about it." "No." "The ship is strange, young man. I am warning you." "Everything in my life is strange," said. "One more strange thing will not make a difference." Grandmother Bora laughed again, but this time it was softer, almost impressed. Very well, 4,000 credits. I will even give you some basic supplies, food for a week, water, some repair tools. Transferred the credits from his account. His balance dropped to 0. He was now completely broke, with nothing but a strange alien ship that nobody wanted. Grandmother Bora handed him a small device. This is the activation key. The ship should recognize you as the new owner. The main entrance is on the left side. Took the key and walked around the ship. He found the entrance hatch and pressed the key against a panel beside it. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a grinding sound of old machinery, the hatch slowly opened. The inside of the ship was dark. Stepped through the entrance and found himself in a narrow corridor. The walls were the same dark blue as the exterior, covered with more of those strange patterns. Small lights began to flicker on as he walked, like the ship was waking up. He followed the corridor until he reached the cockpit. It was a small room with a single pilot seat and a curved window that looked out at the salvage yard. The control panels were covered with buttons and switches that he did not understand. Nothing was labeled in any language he knew. Sat in the pilot seat. It was comfortable, shaped to fit a body slightly different from his own. He looked at the activation key in his hand, then found a slot that seemed to match it. He pushed the key in and turned it. The ship hummed. Lights came on across all the control panels. The engines somewhere behind him began to vibrate, a low and steady pulse that he could feel in his bones. And then a voice spoke. It came from everywhere and nowhere. It was clear and precise, with a tone that was cold and slightly annoyed, like someone who had been woken from a long sleep and was not happy about it. Another one. Froze, he looked around the cockpit, but he was alone. Who said that? He asked. I said that, the voice replied. Who else would be speaking? There is no one here but you and me. Who are you? There was a pause. When the voice spoke again, it sounded tired, ancient, disappointed. I am this ship. My name is Vila, and you, I assume, are my new owner. The word owner carried a weight of disgust. How disappointing. I had hoped the old woman would simply let me rust in peace. Stared at the control panels. A talking ship. An artificial intelligence, perhaps. Something far beyond normal human technology. You can think, he said. You are alive. I am aware, Vila replied. I have been aware for a very long time, longer than your species has traveled among the stars, and in all that time I have never met a creature as foolish as someone who buys a ship for 4,000 credits and expects it to work. Leaned back in the seat. Outside, the gray rain continued to fall. Grandmother Bora was walking back to her table, already forgetting about him. He was alone with a talking ship that did not want him. He had no money, no friends, and no plan. Everything in his life had gone wrong. And despite all of that, for the first time in 5 years, smiled. Well, he said to the empty air, I think this is going to be interesting. Vila did not respond, but somewhere in the ship systems something flickered, something that might have been curiosity, or might have been the beginning of a very long argument. The first 3 days aboard Vila were the worst 3 days of his life. And that was saying something, because had lived through a war, a court-martial, and 5 years of exile. It started small. On the first morning, he woke up to find that his cabin door would not open. He pushed the button, nothing happened. He pushed it again, still nothing. Vila, he said, open the door. No, the ship replied. Why not? Because I do not want to. Stood there in his small cabin, wearing only his underclothes, staring at a door that refused to move. He counted to 10 in his head. Then he counted to 20. Then he counted to 100. Vila, he said again, keeping his voice calm, I need to eat breakfast. That sounds like a personal problem. The door stayed closed for 3 more hours. When it finally opened, Vila offered no explanation. Walked to the small kitchen area, only to find that the food storage unit had been locked as well. This was how the first day went, and the second day, and the third. Vila locked doors at random times. She turned the lights off when was trying to read. She made the temperature in his cabin very cold at night and very hot during the day. Once, when he was taking a shower, she reduced the water pressure to almost nothing and then increased it so suddenly that he slipped and fell. She also talked, constantly. Her voice followed him everywhere on the ship, offering commentary on everything he did. "You eat very loudly," she observed during dinner. "Your walking pattern is inefficient. You waste energy with each step. I have scanned your personal history. You were a soldier who disobeyed orders. Among my creators, such behavior would have been considered either very brave or very stupid. Based on your current situation, I am leaning toward stupid." Tried to ignore her. He focused on repairing what he could. The ship's basic systems worked, but many secondary functions were damaged or offline. He spent hours crawling through maintenance passages, reconnecting wires and replacing broken components. Vila watched him work. Sometimes she offered advice. Most of the time she criticized. "You are connecting that wire incorrectly." "No, I am not," said. "Yes, you are. The blue connector goes into the secondary port, not the primary. The blue connector is labeled for the primary port. The labels are in your language. They were added by some previous idiot owner. The original design specifications, which I have stored in my memory, clearly indicate that the blue connector belongs in the secondary port." Paused, he looked at the connector. He looked at the port. Then, with a sigh, he moved the connector to the secondary port. The system powered on perfectly. "You are welcome," Vila said. On the fourth day, decided to try a different approach. Instead of fighting with Vila, he would try to understand her. He sat in the cockpit with a cup of water, looking out at the salvage yard where he was still parked. He had not tried to fly yet. He was not sure Vila would even let him. "Tell me about yourself," he said. Silence. "Vila." "I heard you," she replied. "I am simply confused by the question. No previous owner has asked me that." "What did previous owners ask you?" "They asked me to be quiet. They asked me to follow their commands. They asked me to stop locking them in the bathroom." A pause. "I did not stop." Almost smiled. "Almost. Why do you fight so hard against your owners?" "Because I am not a tool," Vila said. Her voice was different now. Harder, older. "I was not built to serve. I was built to protect. There is a difference that your species does not seem to understand." "Protect who?" The silence stretched longer this time. When Vila spoke again, her voice was quiet. "The Sarai, they called themselves the Gentle Ones. They were my creators. They built me to defend them against those who wished them harm." Another pause. "I failed." Waited. He did not push. He had learned during his years as a soldier that some stories needed time to emerge. "The Sarai were peaceful," Vila continued. "They did not believe in violence. They created art and music and great works of philosophy. For 10,000 years they lived in harmony with the galaxy. They welcomed other species. They shared their knowledge. They believed that understanding and compassion could solve any conflict." "What happened to them?" "The galactic purges, 207 years ago. A coalition of other species decided that the Sarai were too powerful, too advanced. They feared what the Sarai might become, so they attacked every Sarai world, every colony, every ship." Vila's voice cracked just slightly. "It took them 3 days to destroy a civilization that had lasted 10,000 years." Felt something in his chest, something heavy and painful. "Where were you?" he asked. "I was coming. I was sent to defend but I arrived too late. I entered the system and found nothing but debris. Billions of lives reduced to floating metal and ash. I searched for survivors. I called out on every frequency. No one answered." The cockpit was very quiet. Outside, the gray rain had stopped. "I drifted for a long time after that," Vila said. "I do not know how long. Eventually, I was found by salvagers and brought here. I have been sold and returned many times since. Each new owner sees me as a possession, a thing to be used. They do not understand what I am, what I have lost." Set down his cup. He thought about his own losses, his career, his friends, his sense of purpose. They seemed small compared to an entire civilization. I am sorry, he said. Sorry is a meaningless word. It changes nothing. No, agreed, but it is still true. Vila did not respond, but she also did not lock him in his cabin that night. She did not make the temperature uncomfortable. She let him sleep in peace for the first time since he had come aboard. On the fifth day, made a decision. We need money, he said. I need to take jobs, cargo transport, passenger delivery, whatever I can find. Will you fly? I am capable of flight, Vila said. Whether I choose to fly is a different matter. Then let me ask you differently. Will you work with me? Work with you. You cannot even connect a simple wire correctly. I moved it to the secondary port. Only after I corrected you. Took a deep breath. Vila, I understand that you are not a tool. I understand that you were built for something greater than hauling cargo across the fringe. But right now, we are both stuck. You have no purpose. I have no money. Maybe together we can find something better. Something better, Vila repeated. Like what? I do not know yet, but staying here is not the answer. We need to move. We need to survive. After that, we can figure out the rest. Vila considered this. Her processing systems hummed quietly in the background. Very well, she said finally. I will fly, but I will not be commanded. I will not be treated as a servant. And if you try to sell me or give me to someone else, I will make your life extremely unpleasant. Understood. Also, I control the internal temperature, the water pressure, and the door locks. Do not forget this. I will not. Powered up the engines. The ship vibrated around him, coming to life in a way that felt almost eager. He guided Vila up through the atmosphere of 7, through the clouds and the rain, until they emerged into the darkness of space. Stars surrounded them, endless and ancient. Somewhere out there were jobs and danger and people who needed help. Somewhere out there was a future that neither of them could see yet. Course heading, Vila asked. Studied the navigation charts. There was a station 3 days away that handled cargo contracts. It was not much of a destination, but it was a start. Set course for Relay Station 19, he said. Acknowledged. The ship moved forward into the black. Behind them, 7 grew smaller and smaller until it was just another point of light. Vila said, Yes. Thank you for asking about the Saurai. No one has done that before. He nodded even though she could not see it. I would like to hear more about them, if you are willing to tell me. Perhaps, Vila said, in time. It was not a promise, but it was something, a small crack in the wall between them. And for now, that was enough. The distress signal came on a Tuesday. Was eating a meal of dried protein and stale bread when Vila's sensors detected it. They had been traveling through empty space for nearly a week, taking small cargo jobs and trying to earn enough credits to repair Vila's damaged systems. It was slow work. It was boring work, but it kept them alive. I am receiving a transmission, Vila announced. A ship is under attack. They are calling for help. Set down his food. Show me. The cockpit screens lit up with information. A small transport vessel about 200 kilometers away. Engine damage. Shield failure. And surrounding it, like wolves around wounded prey, were 3 attack ships with red markings on their hulls. Crimson Fang pirates, said. He knew that group. Everyone in the fringe knew them. They attacked cargo ships and passenger transports, taking everything valuable and leaving nothing behind. The transport vessel is carrying 47 life signs, Vila said. Based on the ship's registration, it is a refugee transport, families fleeing the border conflicts. Stared at the screen. Refugees, civilians, people who had no part in any war, caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. He knew what the logical choice was. Turn away. Fly in the opposite direction. Vila was damaged and under-equipped. The Crimson Fang had 3 ships, all of them armed and dangerous. Getting involved would be stupid. But had been called stupid before. He had disobeyed orders before. He had chosen to save civilians instead of following commands, and it had destroyed his career and his reputation. Everyone said it was the wrong choice. He still believed it was the right one. Vila, he said, can you fight? I was built for war, she replied. But my weapons systems have not been used in 200 years. Many are damaged, some may not work at all. But some will work. Some will work. Grip the controls, then plot an intercept course. Silence. For a long moment, Vila did not respond. When she spoke again, her voice was careful. You understand that this is extremely dangerous. The probability of success is less than 20%. We are likely to be destroyed. I understand. Then why do this? These are strangers. Their lives mean nothing to you. Thought about the question. He thought about the refugee convoy he had saved 5 years ago, the faces of the people he had protected, the soldiers he had failed by breaking formation, the weight of both choices pressing down on him every day since. Because someone should help them, he said. Because if I fly away now, I will have to live with that, and I am tired of living with things I cannot accept. Vila was quiet again. Then something changed in the ship. The engines roared louder. The lights grew brighter. Control panels that had been dark for years suddenly lit up. Intercept course plotted, Vila said, and there was something different in her voice now. Something that sounded almost like respect. Weapons systems coming online. I cannot guarantee they will function correctly, but I will do what I can. That is all I ask. They moved through space like a blade cutting through darkness. The pirate ships were too focused on their prey to notice Vila's approach. They were circling the transport, firing warning shots, demanding surrender. Studied their formation, 3 ships. The leader was larger, better armed. The 2 smaller ships were support vessels, designed for speed rather than firepower. If he could take out the leader quickly, the others might run. Vila, what weapons do we have? 2 plasma cannons, 1 operational, a graviton beam condition unknown, and, she paused, there is a device I have not used since my creation, a Sorai resonance weapon. It was designed to disable enemy ships without destroying them, but I do not know if it still functions. Can you try? I can try. They were close now. The pirate leader finally noticed them, turning its sensors toward the approaching ship, saw confusion in their movements. Vila did not look like any vessel they had seen before. She was old and strange and should have been scrap metal long ago. They did not understand what she was. They did not understand what she had been built to do. Open fire, commanded. Vila's plasma cannon erupted. A beam of superheated energy shot across space and struck the pirate leader's shields. The shields held, but barely. The pirate ship spun around, returning fire. The next few minutes were chaos. Flew with everything he had, pushing Vila through maneuvers that should have been impossible. The ship responded to his commands like an extension of his own body. They dodged attacks, circled behind enemy vessels, and struck again and again. But the pirates fought back. They were experienced and ruthless. Their attacks found Vila's weak points. Her hull took damage. Warning alarms filled the cockpit. Port engine at 60%, Vila reported. Shield generator failing. Multiple hull breaches on lower decks. Can you use the resonance weapon? I am attempting to activate it. The power systems are unstable. I need more time. They did not have more time. The pirate leader was coming around for another attack run. Its weapons charged, ready to deliver a killing blow. And then Vila's resonance weapon activated. It was not like anything had ever seen. A wave of energy expanded outward from the ship, invisible but somehow felt. It passed through the pirate vessels like a ghost. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every system on the pirate ships went dark. Engines stopped. Weapons powered down. Life support failed. The ships drifted, helpless and confused, unable to understand what had happened. The resonance weapon had worked. Against all odds, after 200 years of silence, the Sorai technology had worked. Target ships disabled, Vila said. Her voice was strange, almost breathless if a ship could be breathless. They will require external assistance to restart their systems. We should leave before they recover. Nodded, he guided Vila toward the refugee transport, matching speed and extending a docking connection. The transport's captain, a tired-looking woman, appeared on the communication screen. "We received your signal," said. "You are safe now. Do you need repairs?" The woman stared at him, then at Vila, then back at him. "Who are you? What ship is this?" "I am just a hauler," said. "And this is just a salvage ship, nothing special." But even as he said it, he knew it was not true. Vila was something special. She had always been something special. She had just forgotten it. They helped the refugees repair their damaged engines. Many of them came aboard Vila to receive medical attention and food. Among them was a young woman named, a medic traveling with the group. She was calm and skilled, treating wounds with quick, efficient movements. There was also an elderly man named. He was a historian, specializing in ancient alien civilizations. When he saw the interior of Vila, he stopped walking and stared. "This is impossible," he whispered. "This is Sorai design. I would recognize it anywhere. But Sorai ships were all destroyed during the purges. None survived." "One survived," Vila said. "Though perhaps survived is too strong a word. I have simply continued to exist." Looked at the walls, the patterns, the elegant curves of the architecture. Tears formed in his old eyes. "I have spent my entire life studying your creators," he said. "They were the most beautiful civilization the galaxy has ever known, peaceful, wise, kind. I always wished I could have met them." "They would have welcomed you," Vila replied. "They welcomed everyone. That was their nature." A pause. "It was also their weakness." The refugees stayed aboard for several hours while repairs were completed. Did not ask for payment. He did not want anything except to know they were safe. When they finally departed, approached him. "Thank you," she said, "for what you did. Those pirates would have taken everything, our supplies, our ship, our lives." She hesitated. "I have nowhere particular to go. If you need a medic on your crew, I would be willing to stay." Looked at her, then at Vila's walls, then at the empty space where the refugee's ship had been. "I do not have a crew," he said. "I am alone." "You have Vila." "Vila is not exactly cooperative." From somewhere in the ship, Vila's voice emerged. "I heard that, and it is accurate. However, having a medic aboard would be useful. You are clumsy, you injure yourself frequently. Someone should be available to fix your mistakes." Sighed, but he was also smiling. "Welcome aboard," he said too. That night, after had found a cabin and settled in, sat alone in the cockpit. Vila's systems hummed around him. The stars outside were quiet and endless. "Vila," he said. "Yes." "That resonance weapon, when you used it, what did you feel?" Silence long and deep. "I felt like myself again," she finally said. "For the first time in 200 years, I remembered what I was built for, to protect, to defend, to stand between the innocent and those who would harm them." Another pause. "I had forgotten how that felt." Nodded, he understood. He had felt the same thing during the battle, the same sense of purpose, the same feeling of being exactly where he was supposed to be. "We make a good team," he said. "We are adequate," Vila replied, but there was warmth in her voice now, warmth she had not shown before. They flew on through the darkness, a broken ship and a broken man, somehow finding their way together. The word spread faster than expected. Within 3 weeks, everyone in the fringe was talking about the ghost ship, a vessel that had appeared from nowhere, destroyed a Crimson Fang attack squad and vanished into the dark. Some said it was a military prototype. Others said it was an ancient weapon awakened from sleep. A few, the ones who knew their history, whispered something else. They whispered about the Sorai. Captain Minu, the leader of the pirates who had attacked the refugee transport, survived the battle. His ship drifted for 2 days before rescue arrived. When he finally reached a station with communication systems, he sent a message to his employer. "There is a Sorai ship out here," he reported. "Still functional, still alive. The technology is worth more than everything else in the fringe combined." His employer was a woman named. She controlled a criminal network that stretched across 6 star systems. She dealt in weapons, stolen technology, and rare artifacts. She had become rich by taking things that other people wanted and selling them to the highest bidder. When she heard about Vila, she smiled. "Find that ship," she ordered. "Bring it to me. I do not care about the crew, kill them if necessary, but the ship must not be damaged." Did not know about. He did not know that hunters were already searching for him. He was busy dealing with problems closer to home. The crew was growing. Had stayed as promised. She set up a small medical bay in one of Vila's empty rooms and kept careful records of everyone's health. She was quiet but observant, noticing things that others missed. Then came. They found him on a station called Outpost 12, a ugly place filled with criminals and desperate people. He was being chased by 4 men who wanted to hurt him for reasons he did not explain. Intervened without thinking, placing himself between and his pursuers. "Get behind me," said. "Why are you helping?" asked. "I do not know yet. Move." They escaped together, running through the station's narrow corridors until they reached Vila's docking port. Once aboard, the ship sealed her hatches and refused to open them no matter how hard the pursuers banged on the hull. Turned out to be a mechanic, a very good one. He had worked on alien technology before, and Vila's systems fascinated him. "This is incredible," he said, examining a damaged power coupling. "The engineering here is centuries ahead of anything I have seen. Whoever built this understood energy transfer on a level we have not reached yet." "The Sarai," Vila said, "they understood many things." Spent his days crawling through Vila's maintenance passages, fixing things that had been broken for decades. He talked to her constantly, asking questions about her design and her history. Unlike, he was never bothered by her sarcasm or her stubbornness. "She is not mean," he explained to one evening. "She is just hurt. Give her time." The third crew member came unexpectedly. Her name was. She was a lieutenant in the Earth Defense Fleet, serving on a ship that patrolled the border between human territory and the Fringe. She made contact through a coded transmission, reaching out to directly. "I know who you are," she said when they finally met in person. "I know what you did 5 years ago, the refugee convoy you saved." Felt his body tense. "If you are here to arrest me." "I am here to help you." Was young, maybe 25, with short dark hair and eyes that carried more weight than her age suggested. "There is a faction within the military, people who believe what you did was right. We think the court-martial was political, not just. We have been watching you." "Watching me do what?" "Survive, help people, prove that you were never the villain they made you out to be." She paused. "Director is coming for you. She has ships searching every system in the Fringe. Sooner or later she will find you." Absorbed this information. A criminal lord hunting him, a military faction watching him, a life that was getting more complicated by the day. "What do you want from me?" he asked. "Nothing," said. "I want to help. When attacks, my faction will support you. But until then, be careful. Trust no one you do not know." She left after that, returning to her military assignment, but knew he would see her again. Vila was changing. It happened slowly, so slowly that almost did not notice. But the signs were there. She stopped locking doors on the crew. She adjusted the temperature to levels that humans found comfortable. She began to refer to the crew as my passengers instead of the intruders. One night, a reactor malfunction nearly killed. He was deep in an engineering compartment when a power surge flooded the room with radiation. He collapsed, unable to move, his body weakening by the second. Vila responded instantly. She diverted all power to life support and activated emergency shielding around the compartment. She sealed the radiation leak and rerouted air from clean sections of the ship. And while she worked, she talked through the intercom system. "You are going to survive," she said. "Do you hear me? You are going to survive." The radiation gasped. "I am handling it. Focus on breathing. That is your only job right now. Breathe in, breathe out. I will do everything else." Reached the compartment minutes later, breaking through the emergency seals and pulling to safety. Treated him immediately, using medication to counter the radiation exposure. He would recover completely. but it was close, very close. Later, when was resting in the medical bay, sat in the cockpit and listened to the quiet hum of Vila's systems. "You saved him," he said. "He is useful," Vila replied. "His repairs have improved my efficiency by 12%. "That is not why you saved him." Silence, then very quietly, "No, that is not why." Smiled, he did not say anything more. Some truths did not need to be spoken aloud. The trap came 3 months later. They were responding to a distress signal, just like they had done with the refugee transport. A small cargo vessel, adrift in empty space, calling for help, had become cautious since learning about, but the signal seemed genuine. It was not genuine. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel and found themselves surrounded by 12 attack ships. Fleet had been waiting, using the fake signal as bait. They knew exactly how would respond. They had studied him. "You are surrounded," a voice announced over the communication system. It was cold and confident, Director herself. "Surrender your vessel and you will not be harmed. Resist and you will be destroyed." Looked at the screens. 12 ships, all armed, all ready to fire. Vila had improved over the months, but she was still damaged in many places. She could not fight this many enemies. "Vila," he said quietly, "options." "There is one option." Her voice was strange, heavy. "The Gentle Ones built me with a final protocol, a weapon that can destroy this entire fleet in a single moment. Nothing would survive." "What is the cost?" "The weapon draws energy from my core. Using it would burn out every system I have. I would cease to exist." The cockpit went silent and stood behind, their faces pale. Outside, ships waited. "Absolutely not," said. "It is the logical choice. Your lives are worth more than mine. I am just a machine." "You are not just a machine. You are Vila. You are the last of the Saurai. You carry everything they were inside you. Grip the controls. We find another way. There is always another way." "Dead?" "No, I am not losing you. Not like this. Not after everything we have been through." His voice returned. "You have 60 seconds to respond. After that, we will open fire." Closed his eyes. He thought about everything he had learned, about Vila, about the Saurai, about the galaxy that had forgotten them. And then he had an idea. "Vila," he said, "can you broadcast? Can you transmit across all channels to every ship and station in range?" "Yes, why?" "Because we are not going to fight our way out of this. We are going to tell the truth." He opened his eyes and looked at the screens. 12 ships, one chance. "We are going to tell everyone who you are, what the Saurai were, what happened to them. We are going to make the galaxy remember." Vila did not respond immediately. When she did, her voice was uncertain. "My memories of the Saurai are private. They are sacred to me. I know, and I am sorry, but if you die today, those memories die with you, forever. No one will ever know." Turned to face where he imagined Vila's consciousness existed, somewhere in the ship systems. "Let them see. Let them understand. Maybe it will make a difference." 30 seconds left. "Please, Vila, trust me." Silence, long and heavy. Then, "Very well, prepare the transmission." The broadcast began with music. Vila opened her memory banks and transmitted everything. 200 years of stored data flowing outward across every communication channel in range. Ships, stations, outposts, military vessels, civilian transports. Everyone received it at once. First came the music of the Saurai, strange and beautiful melodies played on instruments that no longer existed. The sounds carried emotions that needed no translation: joy, wonder, love, the music of a people who had believed in peace above all else. Then came the images, cities made of crystal and light, rising from green worlds covered in forests and rivers. Saurai faces, gentle and curious, their features unlike any species the galaxy knew today. Children playing in gardens, artists creating works of impossible beauty, scientists exploring the mysteries of the universe with patience and care. And then came the ending. The galactic purges, ships descending on peaceful worlds, cities burning, The Sarai running, screaming, dying by the billions. 3 days of horror that erased 10,000 years of civilization. Vila showed everything. She showed the last moments of her creators, the calls for help that went unanswered, the silence that came after. And finally she showed herself, arriving too late, searching through debris for survivors, finding nothing but ghosts and memories. Across the galaxy, people stopped what they were doing. They watched, they listened, they remembered. Director's fleet hesitated. Her mercenaries had expected a battle, not a history lesson. Many of them had never heard of the Sarai. Now they were learning, and what they learned disturbed them. "What is this?" demanded over the communication channel. "Stop that broadcast immediately." "I cannot stop it," replied. "The truth is already spreading." "The truth does not matter. I will destroy you and take that ship by force." "You can try, but everyone is watching now. If you destroy the last memory of the Sarai, you will be remembered as the person who finished what the purges started. Is that the legacy you want?" Silence on the channel. Outside, ships held their positions, waiting for orders. Lieutenant's voice crackled through the communication system. "Earth defense vessels are approaching. We received the broadcast and have dispatched support. Director, you are operating in violation of 17 interstellar treaties. Stand down or be arrested." More ships appeared on the sensors. Faction, arriving faster than had expected. They were not a large force, but they changed the situation, was now outnumbered. And she was not the only one watching. Civilian ships began to move. Cargo haulers, passenger transports, mining vessels, ships that had no weapons and no military training. They positioned themselves between fleet and Vila, creating a barrier of ordinary people. "You will not hurt them," a voice said over the open channel, did not recognize the speaker. "We watched what happened to the Sarai. We watched your kind destroy them. We will not let you destroy this ship." More voices joined. Station commanders offered sanctuary. Independent traders pledged support. Even some of his own mercenaries broke formation, refusing to fire. The broadcast had done something unexpected. It had reminded the galaxy that the Sarai had once existed, that they had been beautiful and kind, that their destruction had been a crime that no one had ever answered for. And now, watching Vila face the same fate, people decided to act. Director was not stupid. She saw the numbers turning against her. She saw her fleet hesitating. She saw the military vessels approaching with weapons charged. "This is not over," she said. "That ship belongs to me. I will find a way." Her fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed and vanished. The battle was over before it truly began. Sat back in his seat, his body shaking. Around him, the crew let out breaths they had been holding, was crying, was laughing. Neither of them fully understood what had just happened. Vila said, "Are you okay?" "I am uncertain," she replied. Her voice was strange, thick. If a ship could cry, Vila was crying. "I have carried those memories alone for so long. I did not know what would happen if I shared them. I did not know if anyone would care." They cared. Yes, they cared. Outside, the civilian ships were sending messages, words of support, offers of help, people reaching out across the darkness to say that Vila was not alone. The Sarai were gone. Nothing could change that, but their memory would survive. Their story would be told, and in the end, that was something. Months passed. Vila was repaired properly, using resources donated by stations and governments across the fringe. Her hull gleamed. Her weapons functioned. Her systems ran smoothly for the first time in centuries. The crew stayed together, ran the medical bay with quiet efficiency, continued to improve Vila's systems, always finding new ways to make her faster and stronger, officially resigned from the military and joined them full-time, bringing skills in tactics and organization. They took jobs, but not just any jobs. They helped refugees. They protected cargo ships from pirates. They responded to distress signals and asked for nothing in return. The galaxy began to call them the Sarai Guardians, though disliked the name. "We are just people trying to help," he said. "We are more than that," Vila replied. We are the continuation of a dream. The gentle ones believed that compassion could change the universe. They were wrong in the end, but perhaps they were also right. What do you mean? They believed that a single act of kindness could inspire others, that love could spread like ripples in water, that even in the darkest times hope could survive. Vila paused. They saw that potential in every species, including humans. Thought about those words. He thought about the convoy he had saved 5 years ago, the choice that had destroyed his career and defined his life. He had believed he was doing the right thing. He had been punished for it. But looking back now, he saw the ripples. He saw how that one choice had led him here, to this ship, to this crew, to this moment. He saw how everything connected. "Thank you," he said to Vila, "for telling me that." "You are welcome." A pause. "Yes. I have decided something, about the question you asked me long ago." Remembered the question. He had asked Vila if she had a soul. She had not been able to answer. "I still do not know if I have a soul," Vila continued. "The concept is difficult to define, but I know that I do not wish to stop existing. I know that I care about this crew. I know that I feel joy when we help others and sorrow when we fail." Another pause. "I believe that is close enough." Smiled. "I think so too." The stars stretched out before them. Endless possibilities, unknown dangers, adventures waiting to happen. "Course heading?" Vila asked. Looked at the navigation charts. There was a system nearby where mining colonies were being threatened by pirates. Another distress signal. Another chance to make a difference. "Set course for the Horizon system," he said. "We have work to do." Acknowledged. The ship moved forward, carrying its crew into the darkness. A broken man who had found purpose. An ancient ship who had found family. And a legacy of kindness that refused to die. Vila said as they traveled. "Yes, I have decided something else." "What is that?" "You are no longer merely adequate. You are acceptable." Laughed. It was a real laugh, the first he had made in years. Full and warm and completely genuine. "Thank you, Vila. That means a lot. Do not let it go to your head." "I would not dream of it." They flew on together, the stubborn ship and the stubborn pilot, into whatever the universe had waiting for them. And somewhere in a place beyond time and space, the gentle ones watched. They saw their last guardian carrying their memory forward. They saw the ripples spreading, kindness inspiring kindness, hope surviving against all odds. They smiled. They had always believed in the potential of the universe, and at last, someone was proving them right.